Yeah, we're live.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for coming along to this meeting of West Craven Area Committee. This is a working meeting of a Pendle Council Committee, obviously held online, can't trip it over my tongue there, held online nowadays. In a moment or two, I'm going to ask committee members to introduce themselves. We have several speakers who wish to speak on a planning application this evening. Now, the area committee isn't due to make a decision on that planning application. It's one that crosses the boundary between this area committee and another area committee, and the decision is going to be taken at Policy and Resources Committee. So this is the first of three opportunities for councillors to consider this. Any decision we take on this this evening will be a view of this area committee and not a view of the local planning authority. But we'll come to that in a minute. So can I introduce myself? And some people are just sort of icons at the bottom of my screen, so I'm not absolutely certain who's here and who isn't, and Joanne in a moment will tell us who we've got apologies from. So let's start then. I'm David Whip. I'm a councillor here in West Craven and I chair the area committee, and I'm just looking down at my list of attendees. So if I could ask Marjorie to introduce herself, please. Marjorie, you're on mute.
Marjorie Adams, Councillor for Cotswold, Van Alswick.
Thank you very much. And Colin.
Oh, good evening, Colin Carter, EB Ward Councillor.
Thank you very much. Emma West.
Hi, Emma West, Vice Chair of Barnoldswick Town Council.
Thank you very much. And this always tickles me is Governor Pollard. Christine.
I don't know how to swap it. Hi, Christine Pollard, Salford Parish Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Ken Hartley, Pendle Councillor for Craven Ward, Barnoldswick.
Thank you. Jennifer.
Jennifer Purcell, Councillor for Craven Ward.
Mike.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Mike Goldthorpe, Pendleborough Ward Councillor for Earby.
Thank you. Peter.
Peter Hampson, Earby Town Council.
Thank you. Rosemary.
Rosemary Carroll, Ward Councillor for Earby.
Thank you. David Walker.
Good evening, David Walker, Environmental Services Manager, Pendleborough Council, Area Coordinator for West Craven Committee.
Thank you. Neil Watson.
Good evening, Neil Watson. I'm the Service Manager for Planning.
Tom.
Good evening, I'm Tom Whip. I'm a Portswood Councillor on Pendle Council and I'm also the Barnoldswick Town Chairman, but I'm not here in that capacity.
Okay, thank you. Now, I do have an attendee with a phone number ending 166. Could that person identify themselves, please?
I think that's one of the speakers, Chair.
David, I'm just wondering if it's easier to go through the list of speakers and then everybody can just come forward, do you think?
No,
it is one of the speakers. It's Sarah Watmore.
Okay. Sarah, are you hearing us?
I am, yes. Hello.
Right. Thank you, Sarah. If you can mute now, please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I have got apologies from Councillor Jane Mills. Joan, can you introduce yourself and say who else we've got apologies from, please?
Yes, good evening. My name's Joanne Eccles. I'm a committee administrator at Pendle Council. I don't have any other apologies, but I've noted Councillor Jane Mills.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other committee members present who I have overlooked? No. As referenced earlier on, we do have, I'm trying to count them up, 6 speakers. Joanne, can you just do a roll call of the speakers, please?
Yeah, there's 8 speakers. So
8?
8, yeah. So if we start with Lindsay Bowker. Lindsay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah. Hi, Lindsay. So Kirsty Pugh.
Hi, I'm the founder and executive head of the Alternative School.
Thanks, Kirsty.
Alison Ashworth Taylor.
Hello, I'm here. Thank you.
Gillian Taylor.
Good evening. Yeah, I'm the project director of Response CIC.
Lavinia Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Lavinia and I'm a neighbour at the farmhouse at Kitchen Farm.
Tracy van der Brand.
Hi, yes, I'm from Farmhouse Kitchen Farm adjoining the woodland.
Amelia Bowker.
Hello, owner of Jerusalem Farm Riding School.
And Sarah's already introduced herself, Sarah Watmore.
Yes, hello, I live at Low Lace Barn, adjacent the wood.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that. So we're getting to the meeting in a little bit, and I'll explain what we're going to do in terms of the planning application. Before we get to that, I've got some procedural matters to deal with. So looking at my agenda paper, the first item is if there are any declarations of interest, and this is where councillors have prejudicial pecuniary interests, and that's if they've got a direct financial interest, if any items on the committee. Could I ask if any members of the committee have such interest, please?
No, Chairman.
Thank you. No, you don't have to say no. You just say yes if you have. I'm not going to go through everybody again. Okay, I'm going to take that as no one has any prejudicial pecuniary interest. I've got one of the speakers, 2 of the speakers who haven't muted. If you could mute, please. It means that the quality of the sound is so much better for us. Thank you. And my next item is public question time. I don't think we've got anybody joining us for public question time, and this is something that we haven't quite perfected in with our new virtual universe, but hopefully by a future meeting we will have done so. Item 3 is the minutes of the last meeting. Could I ask if a committee member would move those as a correct record, please?
Move them.
Thank you very much. Are they? Thank you. Are they seconded? Would somebody second, please? We're not going to get very far tonight if you don't second the minutes.
I'll second them, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Right. Are there any objections to the minutes? Are they inaccurate in any way? I'm not seeing anybody indicating, so I'm going to take that as read. Thank you. Item 4 is police and community safety issues, and I haven't seen any police officers on the call unless somebody's undercover. Is anybody here and they're actually a police officer and they're masquerading as somebody else? Oh, hang on a minute. No, sorry. I thought I'd spotted somebody then, but no. Well, there's nobody owning up to be a police officer, so I'm going to assume that that is the case, that we don't have anybody with us. Joanne, can you remind me, did we have crime stats emailed through?
We've had the September figures, which we didn't have at the last meeting. And yes, I think I have forwarded them to members, the October ones.
Okay. Yeah. Right. I will ask committee members if there are any comments or questions on the crime stats that we have had. Peter, are you wanting to speak, or you've just unmuted through mischief? Peter?
It keeps unmuting itself, I'm afraid.
I'm afraid you can't blame the tools. Thank you very much for putting that up. And a word of explanation. The different tables there are a comparison between October 2019 and October 2020. The 2019 figures are at the bottom and the 2020 figures obviously at the top. The columns show the incidence of different categories of crime in the different wards. So we've got Craven, Coates and Earby. The totals, and then the plus minus column at the end there indicates whether it's the same, lower or higher than the previous year. So the first row is residential burglaries, and you can see there that there were a total of 3 recorded in October 2020, which is the same as last year. Commercial burglaries, 2 in the current year, which is 1 less than last year. Vehicle crime, 5, which is 2 less than last year in the same month. Hate crimes, 1 was recorded and there weren't any last year. Assaults, 15, which is 1 less than last year. And if there were any police officers present, they would say that assaults include low-level violence, so it could be verbal abuse, it's non-serious assaults without injury. That's what I'm searching for. So a number of 15 looks alarming. I don't know the detail of those, but obviously the number of serious assaults is only a small proportion of the whole. On theft, last year there were 14 thefts recorded in October, and this year there's just 4. So that's a reduction of 10, which I'm sure the police would be broadcasting if they were here to broadcast. And then criminal damage, there's an increase of 2 on last year's figures. The all crime figure, I think Tom is just navigating to a bigger screen. The all crime figure there of 64 is 20 less than last year. Antisocial behaviour is up significantly to plus 39. I can't say any more about the figures because I'm not privy to any detail behind these. I do know that there have been a lot of reports in terms of breaches of COVID-19 regulations, and speaking as someone who's aware of the situation at Victory Park in Banalswick, there have been several reports of criminal damage down at the park. and I know if the police were present, they would be telling us about the arrests that they made at the weekend and the action that they've taken in response to our previous pleas for effective action to be taken in Victory Park. So I think in part there is some good news to be had there. Now then, is anybody indicating to speak? I've got Ken Hartley and then Tom Whip. Ken.
Thank you, Chairman. It's just basically a comment. I am very perturbed about the increase in antisocial behaviour. If you take just the October figures, it's gone from 19 up to 58 within the same month period. Sorry, it's actually gone from 4 up to 58 within the same month period. If you look at the September figures, it was not quite twice. And now it's 3 times what it was a year ago. I suspect that the COVID-19 infringements has a lot to do with it. But since we haven't got a policeman here, I just comment that it is noted that it is significantly higher by factors.
We haven't got a police officer here.
We
haven't got a police officer here.
That's precisely what I said, Chairman.
No, you said we haven't got a policeman here.
Excuse me.
I'm chiding you for sexist assumptions.
I apologise, people, and I'll shut up at that. Thank you.
No, don't shut up. You were saying some good stuff.
Yeah, I'm just noting the fact that it is significantly higher, and in the absence of any police person being present at the meeting, can we request that some simple statement or an explanation is circulated to members at some relatively quick future date?
Sure, committee will agree with that. Thank you, Ken. The next person I've got is Councillor Tom Whip.
Thank you, Chair. Just to report that I reported an incident involving a car to the police and got a call back from the local policing team the next day saying they've talked to the driver and they've sectioned him. I don't know which section it was, but it's the one where if they do it again, the car gets crushed. So I'm glad to see that through it all, they're still managing to get on top of the issues that we're having in the area.
Thank you. The next person I've got is Councillor Purcell.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, for bringing me in. Same thing, Victory Park and the youth. I mean, we're going to have all this problem with the COVID. Some of these youths are not taking it seriously, but I had 2 phone calls and I attended where some residents had ended up having things thrown at their windows and the cars being scratched and everything. They did ring the police, but by the time the police came, they all scarpered. But it's an ongoing scene, is Victory Park, and I do feel sorry for those clubs down there that these vandals are wrecking the football pitches and everything else round there. And I don't know the answer to it, but it is shameful what they are doing. Thank you, Chairman.
Thanks, Jennifer. I mean, just to say, obviously we have raised this on numerous previous occasions. I am pleased that the police have responded. We specifically asked if they would deploy the task force to deal with the issues. That they have done. They have made arrests, and I think that we should acknowledge that has been done, and say thank you to the police and hope that they continue in the same vein. I think the issues with teenagers not abiding by the COVID-19 requirements is very regrettable. I think there's a sense of invulnerability on the part of some age groups, and older people do feel very threatened, and people who are more vulnerable feel very threatened. Like you, I don't have any answers. I think that if we could get those young people to be more responsible, that would be great. But teenagers have always been rebels, and I can't see the current circumstances necessarily making a great deal of difference to that. So it is an issue I've raised with authorities at very different levels, and I'm hopeful that there would be some effective action at some point, but maybe no one has got the answers to that, so we'll just have to keep on battling away with that. The next person I've got is Mike Goldthorpe.
Chairman. Just, well, 2 points really. I concur with Councillor Ken Hartley's comments 100%. I have in front of me the last 8 months antisocial behaviour comparisons, and it ain't going down in any way across West Craven and in my particular area, Earby. I don't think it's helpful either that every time we've raised this in recent times, when we've had a police officer in attendance, they have raised the issue of COVID-19 behaviour within those anti-behaviour within those figures. It may well be useful, Chairman, if we could ask them to provide figures concerning breaches of the COVID-19 rules. We still have this core element within Earby. People are getting to the point now where they're really fed up with it. The problem is, of course, they've got the issues of stress and strain of the COVID rules, generally speaking, and in and out of the tiers and lockdowns. And on top of that, we do have a core of antisocial behaviour, irrespective of COVID-19. Particularly going around, as we all know, around the areas where youth congregate. So I would concur with Ken 100%, but I think it might be useful, now we've got to this point, and looking at the 8-month figures, it really is atrocious. If we could get some information about the number of actual COVID rule being broken. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I'm sure Joanna's made a note of that. Councillor Tom Whip, are you wanted to come back in?
Yeah, thanks. I did actually ask this committee back on our first online meeting if we would be seeing COVID-19 figures in our crime statistics. Anyway. Just of note is the policing team in Colne and West Craven have started using the speed gun again. This committee asked for it to be brought back into use last year, probably maybe around this time, I can't remember. So they had it recalibrated, and regrettably the first use was in Colne, with no use scheduled for West Craven. Barlick paid for it, but never mind. So yeah, they have scheduled in now its use in West Craven at some point in the near future, and hopefully we'll get those speeders under grips.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments on either the crime figures or community safety issues. Can I suggest that we reiterate our concerns and priorities for policing in parks, the boy races, and in addition that we highlight the gatherings of young people and some of the antisocial activities that are arising as a result, COVID breaches that were mentioned, and the roads policing, which Councillor Tom Whip concluded with there. Is